I was with my father nearly 8 years ago when he died. It was a painful and yet a sacred moment. And as much as we knew his death was imminent, the final breath was inconceivable nonetheless. I ripped my shirt, as is customary when losing an immediate relative, before my mother, siblings, and I fell into each other's arms. Ripping clothes, or kriya, is an ancient tradition. In Genesis, when Jacob believed his son Joseph was dead, he tore his garments. Likewise, in the book of Samuel, we are told that King David and all the men with him took hold of their clothes and rent them upon hearing that Saul and Jonathan had died. In grieving for his children, Job too stood up and tore his clothes. The ancient custom of ripping one's clothes has given way to today's more common practice of cutting a black ribbon, the kriya ribbon, as a symbol of renting our clothes. This kind of tearing, whether of clothing or of a ribbon, symbolizes the tear we feel inside when we learn that someone we love will now only live in our memories and through stories. The Talmud has many detailed rules for how to rip and how to mend one's clothing, depending on the relationship with the deceased. The rules for the death of a parent are the most extreme. While the tear for a parent should be large and over one's heart, ripping one's clothes is significant and powerful, no matter the relationship. And while Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk said, "There is nothing more whole than a broken heart," it is impossible in that moment of loss to imagine that things will ever be right, or at least the same in the case of a fractured relationship, again. I wore my ripped shirt the day my dad died, and then I put it aside. I didn't think I could wear it again. It was too painful. Soon after, I learned from one of my own rabbis, a teacher, and a friend, that actually, not only are you supposed to wear the ripped garment again, but for 30 days, after 30 days, you are to repair it and continue wearing it as you would anything else from your wardrobe. Only you are not to mend it in the same way you would other ripped clothing. Some simply baste the tear, pinning it together, while others sew it, but not with the discreet stitching meant to hide the fact that the tear did in fact happen. You are supposed to let the stitches show, a physical reminder that with time, our losses may begin to heal, but things will never be the same. We always have a scar where that tear happened, and not only should we remember it, but we should not shy away from letting others see it as well. In the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, cracks in pottery are filled with gold. They're not covered up, but they're mended in a very visible way. You can still see the outline of the cracks, but now the gold makes them shine. This practice shows that what is fractured can be mended, and sometimes even shimmer in its brokenness, but is never what it was before. And the mended pottery isn't valued any less than it was before it was cracked, acknowledging the current form of the pottery and everything it has been through. There is an old Jewish tale about a man who, having just lost his spouse, went to his rabbi. "Rabbi," he wailed, "I am heartsick. I have lost my beloved, the one who has been by my side for over 3 decades. I don't think I can go on." The rabbi told the man to go into the woods and look for the seamstress's house. The man didn't know how finding a seamstress would help him, but he respected the rabbi, so he went. The man wandered for what seemed like a very long time and soon became weary. Finally, he came upon a clearing and saw a small house with the light of the candle flickering inside. He peered into the window and saw the seamstress darning socks. He was about to knock when he thought, "How can I be so bold as to approach the seamstress without something to mend?" So he took his shirt and he tore it before rapping on the door. "Come in," said the seamstress. "Will you mend my shirt for me?" asked the man. "Of course," answered the seamstress, and with that she took the man's shirt and began to sew. Suddenly, a strange thing happened. As the seamstress poked the needle into the shirt, the man felt a piercing pain in his chest. Then, the seamstress pulled the needle through, and the man felt a stabbing pain through his entire body. But when the seamstress pulled the thread, so the tear in the shirt started to come together, he felt an enormous release. And so it continued, a piercing pain, followed by a stabbing pain that ended with tremendous release. Piercing pain, stabbing pain, release. Suddenly, the man understood why the rabbi had sent him to the seamstress. Mending is painful. It is a slow process, and it is not linear. We rend and we sew and we stitch. We rip out the uneven stitching, and then we gather the fabric and we continue to sew. It is never the same. It is never perfect. But then there is nothing as whole as a broken heart.